This book was inspired by Andrew Carnegie, who was one of the richest men of his time. He challenged Napoleon Hill to go out and study the secrets of making money from the 500 richest men of their time. And what did Napoleon Hill do? He accepted that challenge and dedicated the next 20 years to studying the secrets of getting rich. And in this book, he pulls apart and breaks it down into 13 steps to riches. And we're going to jump straight into that with step 1. Desire, the first step to riches. Every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to burn his ships and cut all sources of retreat. Only by doing so can one be sure of maintaining the state of mind known as a burning desire to win, essential to success. So, the burning desire. There was a story of Hernan Cortez. It was around 1500 where he literally wanted to take over the Aztec Empire. So what did he do when he entered this empire? He burnt his ships behind them so they could do nothing besides move forward and win. And that level of desire is what's needed to succeed and to get rich. The method by which desire for riches can be transmuted into its financial equivalent consists of 6 definite practical steps. First, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It is not sufficient to merely say, I want plenty of money. Be definite as to the amount. There is a psychological reason for definiteness, which will be described in a subsequent chapter. So you need to know the exact amount of money that you want in order to get rich and develop desire. Second, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. There is no such reality as something for nothing. So, fair exchange. You need to give to get in return, to get rich. Third, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. Fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you are ready or not to put this plan into action. Again, you need to have a plan in order to get rich. Fifth, write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire, name the time limit for its acquisition, state what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. 6. Read your written statement out loud twice daily, once before retiring at night and once after arising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in the possession of the money. So, how important this is to create the desire. You need to follow these steps and then the desire will naturally start to burn inside of you. This is great. If you truly desire money so cleanly that your desire is an obsession, you'll have no difficulty in convincing yourself that you acquire it. The object is to want money and to become so determined that you convince yourself you will have it. Only those who become money conscious ever accumulate great riches. Money consciousness means that the mind has become so thoroughly saturated with the desire for money that one can see oneself already in possession of it. So what he's saying here is you need to believe and you need to have deep down within your heart the burning desire for riches. Your mind needs to be thinking about wealth and creating money all of the time, because if you don't, you're not going to get rich. This is what he's saying. You need to have this ingrained deep within you. One must realize that all who have accumulated great fortunes first did a certain amount of dreaming, hoping, wishing, desiring, and planning before they acquired money. So again, in order to get rich, have grand dreams. The person who dreams can achieve, but a lot of the time, if you're not a dreamer, you're not going to be able to get rich. You need to dream about this money. Think about it over and over again. You may as well know right here that you can never have riches in great quantities unless you can work yourself into white heat of desire for money and actually believe you will possess it. You need to develop this desire so strong, but also you need to believe in yourself that you can achieve this, because if you don't believe in yourself, it's not going to happen. If you do not see great riches in your imagination, you'll never see them in your bank balance. Everything begins within the mind. I've said this multiple times and he's saying it as well. Everything begins in the mind. You need to start with the imagination. By creating an imagination, you're going to be able to hold it in your hand. This is great. Remember too, that all who succeed in life get off to a bad start and pass through many heartbreaking struggles before they arrive. The turning point in the lives of those who succeed usually comes at the moment of some crisis through which they are introduced to their other selves. So what he's saying here is about the challenges, the struggles, we all face them. But the people who got rich and accumulated vast fortunes are the ones who, where most people give up, 99.9% of the population give up. The people who got rich, who made an impact in life are the ones who just pushed through that little bit and they were introduced to their other selves and then they were able to get rich. There is a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until he believes he can acquire it. So this is self-belief. You need to believe in yourself that you are worthy of the riches. You need to believe that you can obtain these riches in order for you to receive them. This is awesome. No more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity, than is required to accept misery and poverty. So think about that. You can aim for whatever you want. There's no limit upon the things that you can ask for. A great poet has correctly stated this universal truth through these lines. I love this. Listen to this. I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is just an employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. Design outwits Mother Nature. So think about this. There is no difference between aiming for $1 million or $10 million or $10 million and $100 million. Life will produce this for you if you wish and believe that you are worthy of this. Faith, the second step towards riches. Faith is a head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to the infinite intelligence, as in the case of prayer. The emotions of faith, love, and sex are the most powerful of all major positive emotions. When the three are blended, they have the effect of coloring the vibration of thought in such a way that it instantly reaches the subconscious mind, where it is changed into its spiritual equivalent, the only form that induces a response from the infinite intelligence. Faith is a state of mind which may be induced or created by affirmation or repeated instructions to the subconscious mind through principle of autosuggestion. So what he's saying here is you need to have faith. And by having faith, this is so important, because having faith increases your vibration of mind. It increases your thought. And when you have faith, what it does is that faith lodges the desire deep within your subconscious mind. And when it lodges deep within your subconscious mind, that connects you to the infinite intelligence. And when that's connected to the infinite intelligence, you're going to be able to receive and translate it to its physical monetary equivalent, right? Faith is a state of mind which may be induced or created by affirmation or repeated instruction to the subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion. So faith, by having affirmations and repeating them over and over and over again through this process called autosuggestion, this lodges deep within your subconscious mind, and then faith is naturally built. This is what he's saying here. Any impulse of thought which is repeatedly passed onto the subconscious mind is finally accepted and acted upon by the subconscious mind, which proceeds to translate that impulse into its physical equivalent by the most practical procedure available. So think about this. So any impulse, any thought that is repeatedly sent to the subconscious mind or said to oneself, what happens is that naturally the subconscious mind is going to act that out, and it's going to translate it to its physical equivalent. So you having faith and believing in yourself with a desire, and you're repeatedly saying these things over and over again, that's going to lodge to your subconscious mind, and you're going to act it out, which is very, very powerful stuff. Faith is the only agency through which the cosmic force of intelligence can be harnessed and used by every man. If you notice this trend through these writers and these authors, the greats, they believe in something more than the physical world. They believe in this infinite intelligence. By having faith, you're able to connect with the infinite intelligence. And when you can do that, you can translate this to its physical equivalent, monetary equivalent. Every man is what he is because of the dominating thoughts which he permits to occupy his mind. I absolutely love this. You are as you are right now by the thoughts that you're having. That is who you're going to become. Your thoughts create your character creates your destiny. This is what he's saying here. Self-confidence formula. First, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment, and I here and now promise to render such action. Second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person. Third, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Fourth, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I'll never stop trying until I shall have developed a sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. Again, we're building self-belief here. Fifth, I realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless it is built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve others. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity, because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. I will sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, and repeat it out loud once a day with full faith that it will gradually influence my thoughts and actions so that I will become a self-reliant and successful person. Self-confidence formula. This is how we develop the self-belief, and that self-belief leads to the faith. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it's almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out of the world we find, success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in a state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't go away to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Think about the words there. The final sentence of that, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. That is the belief, that is the faith within oneself. One needs faith in order to get rich and get money. Autosuggestion, the third step towards riches. Autosuggestion is the agency of control through which an individual may voluntarily feed his subconscious mind on thoughts of a creative nature, or by neglect permit thoughts of a destructive nature to find their way into his rich garden of the mind. See, what I love about this is if you're not planting powerful thoughts within your subconscious mind, you're going to allow weeds to take over. This is what he's saying, is you're going to allow weeds to take over. So you need to plant things through autosuggestion of value to your mind. Read out loud twice daily the written statement of your desire for money, and see and feel yourself already in possession of the money. By following these instructions, you communicate to the object of your desire directly to your subconscious mind in a spirit of absolute faith. Through repetition of this procedure, you voluntarily create thought habits which are favorable to your efforts to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent, right? See, listen to this. Your subconscious mind recognizes and acts upon only thoughts which have been well mixed with emotion and feeling. So when you're suggesting things to yourself through affirmations, what you're doing is you're planting things within your subconscious mind. And whatever's in your subconscious mind is going to control you the majority of your time. It is said that your subconscious mind runs your actions like 90% of the time. So by having affirmations and autosuggestions and repeating these things over and over again, your subconscious mind is going to act out what you have affirmed, your autosuggestions, and turn it into its monetary equivalent. But if you don't create affirmations, if you don't have autosuggestion, what is going to happen? The weeds are going to take over. This is very, very important stuff here. Your ability to use the principle of autosuggestion will depend very largely upon your capacity to concentrate upon a desire, given desire, until that desire becomes a burning obsession. See, that burning desire needs to become a burning obsession. It needs to become a burning obsession. Otherwise, you're not going to be affirming things and having autosuggestion over and over again. And how do we do this? One of my teachers says that we need the reasons why. Whatever the money that you want, create a list of 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 reasons why you want that money. And what that's going to do is light that fire within you, and that fire will never stop. Do not wait for a definite plan through which you intend to exchange services or merchandise in return for the money you are visualizing, but begin at once to see yourself in possession of the money, demanding and expecting, meanwhile, that your subconscious mind will hand over the plan or plans you need. Be on the alert for these plans, and when they appear, put them to action immediately. When the plans appear, they'll probably flash to your mind through the sixth sense in the form of inspiration. This inspiration may be considered a direct telegram or message from infinite intelligence. Treat it with respect and act upon it as soon as you receive it. Failure to do so will be fatal to your success. And what I love about this, when we plant things to our subconscious mind, naturally, you're going to start to get hunches, inspirations, insights from the infinite intelligence. So the universe is going to give you insights and wisdom, but you need to catch that wisdom and act upon it straight away, because if you don't, it's going to be detrimental to your success, to your riches. So when these insights and hunches come to you, you need to grab them. That's why I always have my notes ready. I have a notebook ready. I have a pen ready. I always have my phone ready to capture these notes and take action straight away. Because if you don't, it's going to slip through your fingers and you're going to miss the opportunity for riches. Specialized knowledge, the 4th step towards riches. Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action to the definite end of accumulation of money. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when and if it is organized in definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. What he's saying here is knowledge, specialized knowledge, it is power only if it is directed to a chief aim. What is your goal? What is your purpose? If you don't know what your goals are, if you don't know what your goal for money is, if you don't know what your goal in life is, you're not getting specialized knowledge in that direction. You're scattered. So you need to make sure that your knowledge is in line with your chief aim. And that is how you create power. Before you can be sure of your ability to transmute desire and its monetary equivalent, you will require specialized knowledge of the service, merchandise, or profession which you'll tend to offer in return of fortune. I'm reading these books over and over again. I'm highlighting, taking notes. I'm pulling these books apart, right? And this is going towards a definite end. I have my chief aim. I know what I'm doing. So this is powerful. And this is what you need to do. What is your chief aim in life? What are your goals? How much money do you want? What is your career that you're working on? You need to develop your specialized knowledge around this stuff. Very important. The accumulation of great fortune calls for power, and power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But that knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the man who accumulates the fortune. So this is great, right? You do not need to know everything yourself. You have books, you have resources, you have videos, you have podcasts, you have all these other things where you can get this knowledge from. It doesn't need to be all within your mind. To a large extent, your major purpose in life, the goal towards which you are working, will help determine the knowledge you need. The best thing you can do is build your knowledge based around the thing that you really want to do in life, the thing that you really love, your goal. That's so important. As knowledge is acquired, it must be organized and put to use for a definite purpose through practical plans. Knowledge has no value except that which can be gained from its application towards some worthy end. Just reading this book, that book, watching this video, that video, without applying that knowledge and organizing that knowledge, you're going to waste. There's no point of doing that. You need to organize your knowledge. A lot of people have a commonplace book where they keep all their notes, or a note journal, or a journal where they put all their notes. It's so important for you to be organizing your knowledge along the path that you want to head. The person who stops studying merely because he has finished school is forever hopelessly doomed to the mediocrity, no matter what may be his calling. The way of success is a way of continuous pursuit of knowledge. So again, how often do people finish school? They finish school and they stop studying. But this person is hopeless. This person will not get rich. The person who succeeds and becomes wealthy is always continuously learning. Imagination, the 5th step towards riches. The imagination is literally the workshop wherein are fashioned all plans created by mind. The impulse, the desire, is given shape, form, and action through the aid of the imaginative faculty of the mind. Everything comes through imagination. Whether you're watching this on your phone, or your computer, or a TV, or listening to this all began within the imagination of mind, right? This all began with the imagination of man. This is so important stuff. Man's only limitation within reason lies in his development and use of his imagination. A lot of people's limitations are self-imposed. They have self-imposed limitations, but the way that you get rid of these limitations is by having a grand imagination. How big can you dream? Because the greater the dreams that you can have, the more successful and more money you're gonna have. There are 2 forms of imagination. The imaginative faculties functions in 2 forms. One is known as synthetic imagination, and the other is creative imagination. Synthetic imagination. Through this faculty, one may arrange old concepts, ideas, or plans into new combinations. This faculty creates nothing. It merely works with the material of experience, education, and observation with which it is fed. It is the faculty used by the inventor, with the exception of the genius who draws upon the creative imagination, where he cannot solve his problems through synthetic imagination. So what is synthetic imagination? This is based upon the knowledge that we have at hand, based upon the research we have done. This is the knowledge that we have, and we can have imagination through this knowledge, right? Then we have creative imagination. Through the faculty of creative imagination, the finite mind of man has direct communication with the infinite intelligence. Listen to that. Infinite intelligence, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. Through creative imagination, we can tap into the infinite intelligence. It is a faculty through which hunches and inspirations are received. It is by this faculty that all basic or new ideas are handed over to man. It is through this faculty that thought vibrations from the minds of others are received. It is through this faculty that one individual may tune in or communicate with the subconscious minds of other men. So through creative imagination, this is very, very powerful. We are able to get insights, inspirations, intuitions, the inner voice that's going to give you insights to turn your desires, your dreams into riches. This is very, very important because we have synthetic imagination, which is where most people play. But the people that get really, really rich, they use this creative imagination to get these insights from this infinite intelligence, this other power, which is very, very powerful stuff. Ideas can be transmuted into cash through the power of definite purpose plus definite plans. So again, you have ideas. Ideas come from imagination, right? But by having a definite purpose and plans, we can turn these ideas into money. This is what he's saying. Although you have an idea, you can turn that into money through plans and through action. This is very, very important. Organized planning, the sixth step towards riches. You will now be instructed how to build plans which will be practical. A. Ally yourself with a group of as many people as you may need for the creation and carrying out of your plan, or plans for the accumulation of money, making use of the mastermind principle described in a later chapter. Compliance with this instruction is absolutely essential. Do not neglect it. Before forming your mastermind alliance, decide what advantages and benefits you may offer the individual members of your group in return for their cooperation. No one will work indefinitely without some form of compensation. No intelligent person will either request or expect another to work without adequate compensation, although this may not always be in the form of money. Arrange to meet with members of your mastermind group at least twice a week, and more often if possible, until you have jointly perfected the necessary plan or plans for the accumulation of money. Maintain perfect harmony between yourself and every member of your mastermind group. If you fail to carry out this instruction to the letter, you may expect to meet it with failure. The mastermind principle cannot obtain where perfect harmony does not prevail. So what he's saying here is the mastermind is so important to develop plans. A lot of the time you think you can do it all yourself, but in order to create the plans that are going to be sound, you want to be part of a mastermind. And to be part of this mastermind, you need to be able to give value to that mastermind. If you're not going to give value to that mastermind, you're not going to be welcome to that mastermind, and people are probably going to leave this mastermind. But what he's saying here is the plans need to be sound. In order for you to create money and get money, you need to develop strong plans. The best way that you create plans is with this mastermind. The best way to explain this is, well, think about a business. A lot of the businesses, S&P 500, the top 500 companies, they have a leadership team or a management team. Consider this being their mastermind. They get together every week, multiple times, every month, every quarter, every year, and they're developing sound plans. This is no difference between what he's saying here in this book. You need to have a mastermind, a group of people that you can develop these sound plans with. If the first plan which you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. If this new plan fails to work, replace it. In turn, with still another, and so on until you find a plan which does work. Right here is the point at which the majority of men meet with failure because of their lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those which fail, right? Temporary defeat should mean only one thing, the certain knowledge that there is something wrong with your plan. So change your approach, change your approach, change your approach. You've got a plan, you build out your plan, you've got your mastermind, you've built out your plan. It doesn't work? Cool. Change it and try again. It doesn't work? Cool. Change it and try again. And the one who persists over and over again, this persistence, this level of persistence, is going to turn it into its monetary equivalent. But most people, what do? They have a plan. They carry out this plan. It fails. Then what do? They give up. They might try again. Then they give up. See, but the people that created these vast fortunes are the one that never stopped. They kept refining their plans over and over again. Your achievement can be no greater than your plans are sound. Wishful thinking is not going to create the wealth that you seek. You need to develop sound plans, A through to Z, the steps, every step possible in order to make this a reality. Decision, the seventh step towards riches. Accurate analysis of over 25,000 men and women who had experienced failure, disclosed the fact that lack of decision was near at the head of the list of the 30 major causes of failure. This is no mere statement of a theory, it is a fact. Procrastination, the opposite of decision, is a common enemy which practically every man must conquer. What he's saying here is the people, the failures are the ones that don't make decisions. Indecision is what's making most people fail in life. Procrastination, not taking action. Can you see this? The people that are procrastinating, they're not making the decisions, are the ones that fail. He studied 25,000 people, and this is as true as it was then as it is today. Indecision is what's stopping people from getting rich. So, in order to get rich, we need to make decisions. Analysis of several hundred people who accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark disclosed the fact that every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and of changing these decisions slowly, if and when they were changed. People who fail to accumulate money without exception have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly, and of changing these decisions very quickly and often. So think about this. The people that become rich and get wealthy, the ones that take action, they make decisions fast and move on it. They don't sit on a decision and think about it for a year like the unwealthy people do. They make decisions fast. Think about the people that aren't rich. They might take 10 years to make a decision to get started doing something. Then it doesn't work out, and then all of a sudden, they give up. Whereas the rich people, they get started, they take action fast, then they change their decisions slowly to do something else. This is very, very important to understand is the rich make decisions very, very fast, and they change those decisions very slowly. Whereas the people that aren't rich, these people take forever to make decisions. They might spend 10 years making this decision, but then it doesn't work, and then all of a sudden they give up. So think about this, it's very, very important. The majority of people who fail to accumulate money sufficient for their needs are generally easily influenced by the opinions of others. They permit the newspapers and the gossiping neighbors to do their thinking for them. Opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. If you are influenced by the opinions of others, you will have no desire of your own. There is so much noise, social media, your family, your friends, the people around you, there's always going to be bullshit. There's always going to be noise on around you. And the people that are influenced by the opinions of others are the ones that can never truly be true to their own desires and their needs because they're distracted. This is what he's saying here. Persistence, the 8th step towards riches. Persistence is an essential factor in the procedure of transmuting desire into its monetary equivalent. The basis of persistence is the power of the will. Willpower and desire, when properly combined, make an irresistible pair. Men who accumulate great fortunes are generally known as cold-blooded and sometimes ruthless. Often they are misunderstood. What they have is willpower, which they mix with persistence and place back of their desires to ensure the attainment of their objectives, right? So I want you to think about this. So persistence. Without persistence, nothing gets done. And in order to have persistence, we need to have willpower. And our willpower ensures that we persist. And then when we persist, we work towards our objectives and then we don't give up. This is so important to understand because without persistence, nothing gets done. Without persistence, nothing gets done. If you want to get rich, if you want to become wealthy, you need to persist. You've got to never give up. This is what he's saying, never give up. Persistence. And how do we do that? Willpower. You need a strong enough will backed with a burning desire, and then you'll never ever give up. The starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desires bring weak results. Just as a small amount of fire makes a small amount of heat. If you find yourself lacking in persistence, this weakness may be remedied by building a stronger fire under your desires. So persistence. In order to succeed, we need a desire. But that desire needs to be so fired up. And that fuel from the flame of the fire by those desires will cause you to never give up and always push through, right? So again, one of my teachers said, what do you want? How much money do you want? What is your dreams? What are your goals? Okay, write it down. What are your goals, right? Now, give me 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 reasons why you want this money, why you want this thing. And what does that do? By you doing that over and over again. And it might take you a week, 2, 3 weeks to do this. But what this is doing is you're building a fire deep beneath with you. The desire is so strong that persistence becomes inevitable. You'll never stop giving up because the fire, the flame is so strong, it's just going to wipe out everything in its path. You're like a freight train that will never stop. You've got a force behind you. And this is what he's saying with persistence. Those who have cultivated the habit of persistence seem to enjoy insurance against failure. No matter how many times they're defeated, they finally arrive at the top of the ladder. Again, the flame is so strong, you'll never give up. You're never going to stop. And that is what he's saying here. Persistence is like a state of mind. Therefore, it can be cultivated like all states of mind. Persistence is based upon definite causes, among them these. Definite of purpose. Knowing what you want is the first and perhaps the most important step towards development of persistence. A strong motive forces one to surmount many difficulties. Desire. It is comparatively easy to acquire to maintain persistence in pursuing the object of intense desire. Self-reliance. Belief in one's ability to carry out a plan encourages one to follow the plan with persistence. Self-reliance can be developed through the principle described in the chapter on auto-suggestion. Definiteness of plans. Organized plans, even though they may be weak and entirely impractical, encourage persistence. Accurate knowledge. Knowing what that one's plans are sound based on experience or observation encourage persistence. Guessing instead of knowing destroys persistence. Love this, love this. Cooperation. Sympathy, understanding, and harmonious cooperation with others tend to develop persistence. Willpower, the habit of concentrating one's thoughts upon building of plans for those attainment of a definite purpose leads to persistence. Habit, persistence is a direct result of habit. Daily mind absorbs and becomes the part of the daily experience upon which it feeds. Fear, the worst of all enemies, can be effectively cured by forced repetition of acts of courage. Everyone who has seen active service in war knows this. So these are the steps to develop persistence. But out of all these steps, what I believe, and I believe he's saying the same thing as well, the fire within you through that burning desire is what's going to keep you going. Everything else will follow through if you have that flame lit deep within you. The fear of criticism in such cases is stronger than the desire for success. Too many people refuse to set high goals for themselves or even neglect selecting a career because they fear criticism of relatives and friends who may say, don't aim so high, people will think you are crazy. So fear of criticism is stronger than the desire for success. A lot of the time, people care what people say about them. And when you care about what people say about you, it's going to stop you from getting rich. And this is so important because people don't aim high because the people around them say they might be crazy. In Australia, it's called tall poppy syndrome. When you have big dreams and big ambitions, people chop you down. But it's important to ignore the bullshit, right? This is so, so important. I discovered that most ideas are stillborn and need the breath of life injected into them through definite plans of immediate action. The time to nurse an idea is at the time of its birth. Every minute it lives gives a better chance of it surviving. The fear of criticism is at the bottom of the destruction of most ideas which never reach the planning and action stage. So again, ideas, they come from the infinite intelligence. The infinite intelligence produces these ideas, but you need to act upon them straight away. But what causes people to not act is criticism. So you need to act upon this thing straight away. How to develop persistence. There are 4 simple steps which lead to the habit of persistence. They call for no great amount of intelligence, no particular amount of education, and but little time or effort. The necessary steps are a definite purpose backed by burning desire for its fulfillment. 2, a definite plan expressed in continuous action. 3, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, including negative suggestions of relatives, friends, and acquaintances. 4, a friendly alliance with one or more persons who encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose. I love the friendly alliance with one or more persons. Again, an accountability partner is what he's saying. By having an accountability partner, it ensures you're going to persist. I love this. Power of the mastermind, the 9th step towards riches. Power is an essential for success in the accumulation of money. Plans are inert and useless without sufficient power to translate them into action. Power may be defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Power, as the term here is used, refers to organized effort, sufficient to enable an individual to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. Organized effort is produced through the coordination of effort of 2 or more people who work towards a definite end in the spirit of harmony. Power is required for the accumulation of money. Power is necessary for the retention of money after it has been accumulated, right? So what he's saying here is power is organized, intelligently directed, specialized knowledge. This is what he's saying. That's what power is. This is so, so important. So we need to have organized, intelligently directed, specialized knowledge. But also we need to have, the knowledge needs to be organized with a group effort, with 2 or more people. And this is how you increase the level of power. Let us ascertain how power may be acquired. If power is organized knowledge, let us examine the sources of knowledge, right? The source of knowledge equal power. Infinite intelligence. This source of knowledge may be contacted through the procedure described in another chapter with the aid of creative imagination, infinite intelligence. If you see here, there is a lot more than the physical senses that you have. There is a lot more beyond the eyes can see. There's this infinite intelligence that has this power, and we can get this knowledge through this infinite intelligence. Accumulated experience. The accumulated experience of man, or that portion of which has been organized and recorded, may be found in any well-equipped public library. An important part of this accumulated experience is taught in public schools, colleges, where it has been classified and organized. Again, what am I reading? I'm reading a book here. This has organized knowledge, and organized knowledge is power. C. Experiment and research. In the field of science, and in practically every other walk of life, men are gathering, classifying, and organizing new facts daily. This is a source to which one must turn when knowledge is not available through accumulated experience. Here too, the creative imagination must often be used. So again, the experience of other people, the experimentations, these are so powerful. If you depend upon yourself, you can only get so far. Knowledge may be acquired from any one of the foregoing sources. It may be converted into power by organizing it to definite plans and by expressing those plans in terms of action. So there's no point of having knowledge if you don't have plans for that knowledge and then turning action. Examination of the three major sources of knowledge will readily disclose the difficulty an individual would have if he depended upon his efforts alone in assembling knowledge and expressing it through definite plans in terms of action. So you're going to only be able to do so much by yourself. What he's saying here is by using the collective resources of other people around you, the resources around you, you're going to be able to develop more power through this knowledge. If his plans are comprehensive and if they contemplate a large proportion, he must generally induce others to cooperate with him before he can inject them into the necessary element of power. Love this. Gaining power through the mastermind. The mastermind may be defined as coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. No individual may have great power without availing himself to the mastermind. So the mastermind is essential in order for you gaining this knowledge and gaining power. The mastermind is so important. If you're not part of a mastermind, it's important for you to consider joining a mastermind or developing your own mastermind, because the organization of multiple men around you, the knowledge, the resource you're going to get is so powerful. Economic advantages may be created by any person who surrounds himself with the advice, counsel, and personal cooperation of a group of men who are willing to lend him wholeheartedly aid in a spirit of perfect harmony. This form of cooperative alliance has been the basis of nearly every great fortune. Your understanding of this great truth may be definitely determine your financial status. So again, leadership teams in businesses, this is Fortune 500 companies, they have leadership teams, management teams. These are their masterminds where they're doing their strategic planning. They're sharing the information, sharing their resources, and they're turning over trillions of dollars of money every year because they're working towards a definite end and they're organizing their knowledge. Very powerful. The psychic phase of the mastermind principle is a much more abstract, much more difficult to comprehend because it has reference to the spiritual forces with which the human race as a whole is not well acquainted. You may catch a significant suggestion from this statement. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible tangible force which may be likened to a third mind. The best way to explain this in layman's terms is 1 + 1, most people would say equals 2, right? 1 + 1 equals 2. But what he's saying here is through the power of a mastermind, 1 mind plus 2 mind equals a third mind, right? We're talking about synergy. The power is far more advanced by having multiple people than your mastermind. A group of brains coordinated or connected in a spirit of harmony will provide more thought energy than a single brain. Just as this group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. Again, synergy, 1 + 1 equals 3. There's far more power in 2 minds than there is 1. Through this metaphor, it becomes immediately obvious that a mastermind principle holds the secret of the power wielded by men who surround themselves with other men of brains. There follows now another statement, which will lead nearer to the understanding of the psychic phase of the mastermind principle. When a group of individual brains are coordinated and function in harmony, the increased energy created through that alliance becomes available to every individual brain of the group. So think about the knowledge and the energy that comes off the one person of the group. When you have 2 people in the group, that energy is transferred throughout this whole group and everybody has access to this energy, this information, this infinite intelligence. The list of chief sources from which the power may be attained is, as you've seen, headed by infinite intelligence. When 2 or more people coordinate in a spirit of harmony and work towards a definite objective, they place themselves in a position through that alliance to absorb power directly from the great universal storehouse of infinite intelligence. Whoa. Like, how good is that? So by you having this mastermind, again, the infinite intelligence, the universe, is going to draw down this information to each and every person with this mastermind. You're going to get this power because 1 + 1, right? One individual is let's call it that synthetic imagination. But 1 + 1 = 3. Let's call that creative imagination. You're able to draw this creative information down through to you. The mystery of sex transmutation, the 10th step towards riches. The meaning of the word transmute is, in simple language, the changing or transferring of one element or form of energy into another. Think about water. When you boil water, it turns to steam. That is what transmute means. The emotion of sex has back of it the possibility of 3 constructive potentialities. They are 1, the perpetuation of mankind, creating babies. I love that. 2, the maintenance of health. As a therapeutic agency, it has no equal. Again, it's very fulfilling. 3, the transformation of mediocrity into genius through transmutation. And this is where we're going to spend some time. Sex transmutation is simple and easily explained. It means the switching of the mind from thoughts of physical expression to thoughts to some other nature. Sex desire is the most powerful of human desires, right? So again, we have this sexual energy. What he's saying is sex transmutation is to turn our sexual energy not into that form of physical expression, but to some other creative endeavor, some other creative nature. When driven by this desire, men develop keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability unknown to them at any other times. Again, through this sexual energy, the insights are so powerful that you get. It's like no other. So strong and impelling is the desire for sexual contact that men freely run the risk of life and reputation to indulge in it. When harnessed and redirected along other lines, this motivating force maintains all of its attributes of keenness of imagination, courage, etc., which may be used as a powerful creative force in literature, art, or any other profession or calling, including the course of the accumulation of riches. So again, we have this sexual energy. Instead of having the outlet of physical expression, we can take this energy and turn it into creating money. This is very powerful. A river may be dammed and its water controlled for a time, but eventually it will force an outlet. The same is true for the motion of sex. It may be submerged and controlled for a time, but its very nature causes it to be ever-seeking means of expression. If it is not transmuted into some creative effort, it will find a less worthy outlet. Think about this, you have sexual energy, and if you don't transmute it into some worthy cause, it's going to go to a less worthy outlet. Very powerful stuff here. The desire for sex expression comes at the head of the list of stimuli, which most effectively step up the vibrations of the mind and start the wheels of physical action. So the energy that is produced through sex, the sexual energy, is so powerful, it lifts your vibration of your mind, your vibration of your thought, and that vibration of thought will naturally transition to physical expression, to action. Let us find out what constitutes a genius. Some wiseacre has said that a genius is a man who wears a long hair, eats queer food, lives alone, and serves as a target for a joke of the makers. A better definition of genius is a man who has discovered how to increase the vibrations of thought to the point where he can freely communicate with sources of knowledge not available through the ordinary rate of vibration of thought. Wow. A better definition of genius is the man that can lift his vibrations to a higher plane. And we do this through that sexual energy. We lift our thoughts to this very higher plane, but then we can communicate directly with this infinite intelligence, this universe. And this is very powerful. So there is this level of insight that one can have when he can communicate at this level. It's very powerful stuff here. The mere possession of this energy is not sufficient to produce a genius. The energy must be transmuted from desire for physical contact into some other form of desire and action before it will lift into the status of genius. Far from becoming a genii, because of great sex desires, the majority of men lower themselves through misunderstanding and misuse of the great force to the status of the lower animals. Again, most people don't understand this principle, that sexual transmutation. When people hear this, they think it's all about having sex, physical expression. It's nothing to do with that. It's about turning this energy from sex that you get from sex, this power, this force, and transferring it to some chief aim, to some purpose that's far more beneficial. But most men don't understand this, and they become animals. They have sex every day. They become animals, which is not a bad thing, but it's going to be reducing your creative capabilities, is what he's saying here. I discovered from the analysis of over 25,000 people that men who succeed in an outstanding way seldom do so before the age of 40, and more often they do not strike their real pace until they are well beyond the age of 50. This study disclosed the fact that the major reason why the majority of men who succeed do not begin to do so before the age of 40 to 50 is their tendency to dissipate their energies through overindulgence in physical expression of the emotion of sex. The majority of men never learn that the urge of sex has other possibilities which far transcend in importance that of mere physical expression. So think about this. He's saying that most men don't really succeed and become wealthy and rich to their 40 or 50. And why is that? Because most men overindulge in sex. All they have on their mind for the first 20, 30, 40 years is literally the emotion of sex. And what that's doing is dissipating their creative efforts. They're not transmuting this energy into some creative outlet. This is what they're saying. When the emotion of love begins to mix itself with the emotion of sex, the result is calmness of purpose, poise, accuracy of judgment, and balance. Love is the emotion which serves as a safety valve and ensures balance, poise, and constructive effort. See, I love this. The emotion of sex is so powerful. It's a powerful force. How many houses were ruined? How many relationships were ruined because of sex? Think about this. I want you to really think about this. How many relationships, how many houses were ruined because of the emotion of sex? It is powerful force. And when you transmit this or transmute this into a creative effort, it's very powerful. But what we need to do is the emotion of love, romance, these two things are the safety valves for the emotion of sex. If we just have this sex outlet, it can be a destructive force. It's very powerful. So having love, having gratitude, having romance, all these things are a safety valve to make sure that we control, we tame this expression of sex. I love this. Control of the mind through the power of the will is not difficult. Control comes from persistence and habit. The secret control lies in the understanding of the process of transmutation. When any negative emotion presents itself in one's mind, it can be transmuted into a positive or constructive emotion by the simple procedure of changing one's thoughts. There is no other road to genius than through the voluntary self-effort. So think about the transmutation. We have sexual energy. This energy, we can actually change our thoughts using this sexual energy. If something's negative, by using your sexual energy, you can change that thought to a positive one. So we're saying we can transmute, using the emotion of sex, we can transmute our thoughts from those ones of negative to those of positive, or those of ones that are going to benefit us. Very great stuff here. Love is, without question, life's greatest experience. It brings one into communion with the infinite intelligence. When mixed with the emotions of romance and sex, it may lead one far up the ladder of creative effort. The emotion of love, sex, and romance are sides of the eternal triangle of achievement building genius. Nature creates genii through no other force. So love, sex, romance, these are the triangle of genius. Love, sex, romance, very important. The subconscious mind, the 11th step towards riches. The subconscious mind consists of a field of consciousness in which every impulse of thought that reaches the objective mind through any of the five senses is classified and recorded, and from which those thoughts may be recalled or withdrawn as letters may be taken from a filing cabinet, right? It receives and files sense impressions or thoughts regardless of their nature. You may voluntarily plant in your subconscious mind any plan, thought, or purpose which you desire to translate into its physical or monetary equivalent. The subconscious acts first on the dominating desires which have been mixed with the emotion of feeling of such as faith. We receive things through the external environment, right? These sense impressions. And these lodge deep within our subconscious mind. This is what he's saying is, so everything is literally programming our subconscious mind, and our subconscious mind is running us the majority of the time. Some experts say it's like 90% of the time. So if your subconscious mind is running you 90% of the time, and you're allowing these impressions from your senses to be lodged in your subconscious mind, it can be very powerful, very damaging. But one can, through what he's saying here is through autosuggestion, through affirmations, one can lodge deep within one's subconscious mind their plans, their dreams, their desires. But what happens when you do this, the physical expression happens from your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind is actually, it takes action. And through this, what happens is it can turn into its monetary equivalent. So by your subconscious mind having your desires, your dreams lodged deep within them through affirmations, your subconscious mind, when you're not thinking, it's controlling you 90% of the time. It's going to act out, bring forth to you these things which you seek. You cannot entirely control your subconscious mind, but you can voluntarily hand over to it any plan, desire, or purpose which you wish transformed into concrete form. Again, through autosuggestion. There is plenty of evidence to support the belief that the subconscious mind is the connecting link between the finite man of man and the infinite intelligence. It is the intermediary through which one may draw the force of the infinite intelligence at will. The subconscious mind will not remain idle. If you fail to plant desires in your subconscious mind, it will feed upon the thoughts which reach it the result of your neglect. So again, you need to plant a garden, not weeds in your garden. You need to plant a garden. You have the desires, autosuggestion. Otherwise, what's going to happen is it's going to roam wild and it's going to fall apart. Your body is going to be ran by its subconscious mind, which is going to be filled with the neglect and the weeds. The brain, the 12th step towards riches. More than 20 years ago, the author, working in conjunction with the late Dr. Alexander Graham Bell and Dr. Elmer R. Gates observed that every human brain is both a broadcasting and receiving station for the vibration of thought. Through the medium of the ether, in a fashion similar to that employed by radio broadcasting principle, every human brain is capable of picking up vibrations of thought which are being released by other brains, right? So your brain is a broadcasting and receiving vehicle. This is what they're saying. Your brain can pick up thoughts from other people, and you can deliver your thoughts out there through your brain. The subconscious mind is the sending station of the brain through which vibrations of thought are broadcast. So your subconscious mind is putting out your thoughts to the universe, to the world, to the infinite intelligence. The creative imagination is a receiving set through which the vibrations of thought are picked up from the ether. So again, this is so powerful. Listen to this. You have an affirmation or an auto-suggestion. I want to get rich by X and X date, whatever it may be, whatever your affirmation is. You plant this deep within your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind controls your actions 90% of the time. Then from there, what happens is these subconscious mind, your actions, right, will naturally start to deliver thoughts and communicate with this infinite intelligence, right? But then your creative imagination is a receiving set through the infinite intelligence. Your creative imagination is going to bring forth to you the hunches, the insights, the inspirations to create these riches that you want. This stuff is so powerful. So your subconscious mind is the broadcasting, you're delivering your thoughts, the infinite intelligence, and your creative imagination is delivering you those insights from the infinite intelligence. Very powerful. The sixth sense, the 13th step toward riches. The sixth sense is that portion of the subconscious mind which has been referred to as the creative imagination. It has also been referred to as the receiving set through which ideas, plans, and thoughts flash into the mind. The flashes are sometimes called hunches or inspirations. The sixth sense defies description. It cannot be described to a person who has not mastered the other principles of this philosophy, because such a person has no knowledge, no experience with which the sixth sense may be compared. Understanding of the sixth sense comes only by meditations through the mind developed from within. The sixth sense probably is a medium of contact between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence, and for this reason, it is a mixture of both mental and the spiritual. It is believed to be the point at which the mind of man contacts the universal mind. Whoa, listen to that. So this sixth sense, it comes through creative imagination. So we have creative imagination, and this is where the sixth sense lies, right? So we plant things into our subconscious mind through our desires, through our affirmations, through our auto-suggestions. Our subconscious mind communicates our thoughts up to the infinite intelligence. And the infinite intelligence through creative imagination is going to give us hunches. It's going to give us inspiration, it's going to be insights. You're going to have that voice within. It's going to speak to you. It's going to communicate to you through intuition. It's going to give you these insights. And this happens when we be quiet, when we be still. We get rid of the noise and the distractions around us. Meditation of mind. Through a practice of meditation, we can get these creative insights. We can listen to that voice within through meditation. It's one of the most powerful things, this sixth sense. I absolutely love it. Through the aid of the sixth sense, you'll be warned of impeding dangers in time to avoid them and notified of opportunities in time to embrace them. There comes to your aid and to do your bidding with the development of the sixth sense, a guardian angel who will open to you at times to the door of the temple of wisdom. So once you've gone through these other steps and you've mastered the other steps, what happens is you open yourself up to receive communications through this infinite intelligence through the form of creative imagination, and then through intuition, through insights. He calls it the temple of wisdom. From here, this is how you create abundance, and this is how you get rich. Very powerful stuff here. My experience has taught me that the next best thing to being truly great is to emulate the great, by feeling and acting as nearly as possible. Long before I've ever written a line of publication or endeavored to deliver such a speech in public, I followed the habit of reshaping my own character by trying to imitate the 9 men whose lives and lives' works have been most impressive to me. These 9 men were Emerson, Paine, Edison, Darwin, Lincoln, Burbank, Napoleon, Ford, and Carnegie. Every night, over a long period of years, I held an imaginary council meeting with this group whom called the Invisible Counselors. The procedure was this. Just before going to sleep at night, I would shut my eyes and see in my imagination this group of men sitting with me around my council table. Here, I had not only the opportunity to sit among those men who I considered to be great, but I actually dominated the group by serving as the chairman. I had a very definite purpose in indulging my imagination through these nightly meetings. These facts are mentioned preliminary to the statement of fact which I shall now make, namely that during my meetings with the invisible counselors, I find my most receptive to ideas, thoughts, and knowledge which reach me through the sixth sense. I can truthfully say that I owe entirely to my invisible counselors full credit for such ideas, facts, or knowledge as I received through inspiration. So What he's saying here is he developed this invisible council. That started with 9 men, but it grew up to about a team of 50 men, his invisible council. And he would have conversations with this council before going to bed at night. But then what would happen is through this council, they would receive insights, inspirations, guidance, intuition, wisdom to him. And he entirely owes his credit to this level of connection with this infinite intelligence with his council's wisdom. Very great stuff here. No matter who you are or what may have been your purpose in reading this book, you can profit by it without understanding the principle described in this chapter. This is especially true if your major purpose is that of accumulation of money or other material things. The chapter on the sixth sense was included because the book is designed for the purpose of presenting a complete philosophy by which individuals may unerringly guide themselves in attaining whatever they ask of life. The starting point of all achievement is desire. The finishing point is that brand of knowledge which leads us to the understanding of self, understanding of others, understanding of the laws of nature, recognition and understanding of happiness. Guys, that was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I hope you got value out of this video. If you did, smash like, hit subscribe, drop a comment down below, and I'll see you all next week.